Last week, we asked if Shimon could carry his momentum into the new season. Wisconsin answered that with a big yes. Victory at Road America starts things off on the right foot, but there's still 11 more races to go after that. Many will be raring to take the champion down a peg here in Interlagos, but can they manage it? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ossian Puhaka. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. This track is no stranger to dramatic moments. Something about the circuit just seems to lend itself to them. Let's take a look at the track guide to see why. Welcome to Autódromo's José Carlos Pache. Most fans and drivers simply know this place as Interlagos. Starting life as an absolute behemoth of a circuit, this Brazilian track was eventually truncated to the version you see today. Having hosted Formula One for roughly 3 decades, it's become very well known on the international stage. But it has also held rounds in the World Endurance Championship, as well as frequently seen Brazilian stock cars, motorcycles, and even truck racing. There's little difference between its two layouts, which includes the GP course and the Moto course, which simply adds a chicane to the end of the lap. In both cases, it's a tale of two circuits. The run past the start-finish line and into the Senna S, followed by the blast towards the Descida del Lago, are very high-speed sections that come back-to-back. Drivers will need to focus on top end in order to attack or defend. Expect most passes to happen in those two corners. But from Ferradura until Junção, the track suddenly twists itself into a mess of hairpins and frustratingly technical turns. This can make car setup a real compromise, and for the latter part of the lap, an absolute pain when dealing with traffic. Pit exit is also a narrow affair, so it requires drivers to take care when trying to maximize their outlaps. On the upside, with this being a modern F1 track, there's paved runoff in abundance at many of the fast corners. The passion of the Brazilian fans always comes out in force at races, and it's no wonder with this picturesque track sandwiched right amongst the neighborhoods of Sao Paulo. There you see a little bit about Interlagos, or as it's formerly known, Autódromo José Carlos Pache. Ozzy, why don't you tell us some of the stats about this place as we get the qualifying going?
Yeah, so Autódromo José Carlos Pache, as you said, 4.3 kilometers long. That would be around 2.5 miles. It's around the length of Daytona, but a very different circuit. This is no oval. This is a track of two natures. You look at the outfield sector, sector 1 and the last sector, and it looks kind of like an oval. But then you get to the twisty bits on the tighter parts of the course, the infield, so to speak, and it's a very technical layout. Got nice undulation, nice elevation change, and overall a real challenge for the drivers, both setup-wise and driving-wise.
Indeed, and well, let's see if it changes the championship, because we have one round down, and Tomas Simon has managed to take the opening win, picking up where he left off. Millward tried to chase him, but just came up shy. And you've got Seppa, Rina, and Vascalampi, three very familiar names, also rounding out your top 5. As we were warned that there will be an invasion of Finns, and well, it's certainly seeming to come true. Let's see if the team standings reflect that as well.
Yeah, let's see about those team standings. So, we got Ferrari in the lead in that one, and Renault in second place, Arrows third, and then Lotus in fourth, and Alfa Romeo fifth. Now, it looks tight, but the reason for that is that we only have one round down, so everybody's still within a shot. However, for Ferrari, it certainly looks better than, today. Should we go there? We'll go there.
No spoilers. I haven't watched the race yet, so although you're not really spoiling anything by saying if Ferrari had a bad day. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the race details. Round 2 out of 12, 35 laps that they're going to be running out there today. It's an open setup series. The drivers are relatively friendly about that. They try to make sure that everybody's up to speed because they know that newcomers might have a hard time trying to adjust to these cars. They have an incident limit. There's a few places where it's going to be easy to pick those up on this track because it is a modern Formula One course and there's some paved runoff. You can see if they hit 17, they'll have a drive-through. 25, and they will actually be fully disqualified from the race, which means they'll be removed from the session immediately. Also, we want to remind you to advertise with us if you've got a company you want to get some exposure, because GSRC offers a wealth of options to help you get your branding seen on a platform with over 1 million monthly impressions. If your organization is looking for a global audience to advertise with, look no further than GSRC. Follow our link down there in the description below, and you'll find out more information at our website. Qualifying is indeed underway. Ascarina, I don't know why I have trouble with his name week in and week out. He is on the provisional pole with Vascalampi giving chase.
They are, and that's no surprise. The Finnish guys ran their own league race on Thursday. It was actually a little bit longer than this one. They ran for 47 laps, and Oskar Rinne won that one ahead of Teemu Vaskilampi by 8 seconds. So those guys took places 1 and 2 there, and certainly Oskar is looking to continue that pace here. And Joe, I think you might want to, give that name a few rehearsals, because he's going to be up there for a while.
Honestly, I'm fine just calling him Oscar, because that's a much more American name for me to go for. Frisha on his first lap, well, he's yet to take it, honestly. He just finished his warm-up lap, but he's on his way now. Oscar coming around out of the junction, one of the most critical corners on the lap, and then it is flat to the floor all the way up this relatively steep hill to the start-finish line.
Yeah,
and he's abandoning it.
Yeah, he's abandoning it. So Subidado Lagos, they call it the final corners, which means just pit boxes, basically. And here is Teemu Valkeajärvi. They call him Mr. White Lake, certainly, and he is someone we don't see in this series very often, but ran on Thursday and ran today after some pegging from his friends. And let's see, 123.8, so he's doing reasonably okay for himself. Was in the top 10 in Trelletrace and is in top 10 so far in qualifying here as well, with a couple of fast drivers left to go.
Was in 7th, and he gets bumped down. A few more drivers finding pace. Tenkate is one of them. What about Ove Trangerade? He's currently in 7th. This is a good qualifying for him. Can he find improvement on the second lap? He's down to the line. No, a 24-1 is going to be a couple tenths slower, and he gets bumped down to 8th as ANDT finds his way up there into 4th temporarily, and he gets bumped to 5th as well. Frisha on his first timed lap is good enough for 7th.
Yeah, so a couple of guys leaving their qualifying laps pretty late, waiting for the cloud to roll in, those track temps to drop down. Usually they are one of the talking points here at Interlagos, but this time, as you can see on the screen, 23 degrees Celsius air, 41 degrees track. It is mostly cloudy, so it shouldn't be that big of an issue. Alex Milward coming across the line at first lap. Not as good as we've used to seeing from Alex. In fact, it doesn't even count.
A couple more drivers that we're waiting on at this point. We've got Vascalampi on screen. He's currently sitting in 3rd, but he's not going to take the pole away as he had a mistake on that second lap, and it's not going to count.
Oh, it's not, so he will remain in that place. Speaking of that second place, 1,000 of a second difference between Eetu Vainiokangas and Teemu Vaskilampi for that one, so not a lot of room for improvement there. Tapani Linnaluoto coming across the line as well. He did the race on Thursday. Let's see how he does in qualifying. 124 flat. That takes him to 14th place, but he should have quite a low downforce setup for him, so he can overtake.
ADT to the front row with a 23.4. He's still a tenth and a half off of Rinne, so he's got a ways to make up pace, at least in the race on him. Big one we want to watch out for is Alex Milward, because remember, his first lap did not count, and he just came off of the junction. So let's see what he's got. He's got to keep this one clean over everything else.
Yeah, that's what he's got to do, really coming across the line. It's been clean so far. I think he's gonna, be taking it a little bit easy. Yeah, 124.0, so that takes him only 16th. So Tapani and Alex, two guys who will be fighting from the midfield.
Absolutely. That is very out of place for Milward, considering his second place last week. Down to the line, we've got Vascalampi, but he's already taken his 2 laps, simply just practicing. And that's going to be everybody. So Our grid is set here for round 2 at Interlagos. Let's go through our starting order. Ascarina will be starting on the pole with Andy T next to him in second place. Etu Vaniokangas starts in third with Teemu Vaskalampi in fourth place. Tomas Simon down in fifth in qualifying. Unusual for him. We didn't really cover that, but that is going to be a bit of a story. Let's see if he's got the race pace today. Freakton Kate starts in sixth with Gurno Frisha in seventh. We've got Carrie Villeneuve in eighth with Ove Trangerade in ninth, and Teemu Whitelake rounds out your top 10.
Pauli Partanen gonna be starting 11th alongside his fellow Finn Marko Kela. Steve Bycroft 13th, unusually low for him as well. Tapani Linnaluoto gonna be starting 14th, ahead of Severi Seppä and Alex Milward. Thomas Torp snatches up the 17th place, Josue Leocata 18th, Pablo Suarez 19th, and Michael de Turk rounding out your top 20.
21st, going to go to Erwin Rotkrens with Mike Rosimus in 22nd. Laust Olsen down in 23rd today, so he's got a lot of work to do. Peter Koneski starts 24th, and the last driver with a time is Paul Williams. Azevedo and Roveld did not put times down of our 27 starters, and I do see everyone out there, so we should have all 27 on the grid today. It is a split out there as we have many drivers, over 50 drivers signed up for today's race, but they can only have 36 max. So this is the cream of the crop with the highest I ratings all clumped together as it works here on iRacing when we have these big grids. Just waiting for the last of the field to get out there. They're going to want to be prepared for that first corner. It is known for having a bit of chaos sometimes down into the first turn. It's a chicane technically, the Senna S, and it can cause problems. You got to pick your line carefully, and you got to watch out for who is on your inside and outside potentially. Just waiting for White Lake and Linda Luoto at this point. There they plop themselves on the grid. So the lights are up, the engines start to rev. Green flag is out. Oscar does not have a good start at all. Here goes Andy T already up to the lead. And Vanio Congas is looking around the outside while we've got Vaskalampi looking to the inside. One car going off, that's Tomas. Tomas goes way off and he comes back on and wrecks. I'm not sure who he clipped, but they're both around. Oh my goodness.
Andy T went wide in turn number 1 as well. He lost many places, and Tomas Simon, when he came back on track, he did flip the Ferrari of Severi Seppä.
Inside, Vanio Congas looking to try and get by. Oh, excuse me. No, that is Vaskalampi, who was to the outside of Vanio Congas. Those two fighting for second place as they now swing into the horseshoe up and over the crest as it comes around the double apexer into the infield for the first time. Top 5 are starting to pull away slightly from White Lake.
And Michael de Turk around in the middle of the field. You can see it on top of your screen, collecting Thomas Torp as well into that one. No need to go to a replay or anything, but a couple of cars around. And meanwhile, the top 3, they did escape scot-free. Andy T got a great start, Oscar not so much, but then Andy outbraked himself into turn number 1. That happens easily with the cold tires, and as a result of this little mishap, he is Andy T all the way down in somewhere around 13th.
A lot of top drivers having problems on this early lap. Steve Bycroft has gone off track, and he's now down to 21st. What is going on with our front runners today? First lap through, Rina is going to lead with Vaskalampi, followed by Vanio Congas. Partanen is going to pit. You saw him entering in the background.
Yeah, Partanen got a false start. He jumped the start a little bit, lifted off the clutch too early, and that's why he's in the pit lane taking his penalty on first lap. And look who else has gained position in lap number 1. That would be Gernot Fritsche, now running in 5th place. He's right on the tail of Freak and Kade, and we know that Freak, even though he got a podium last season, he can sometimes be suspect to some mistakes. So let's see how he handles the pressure cooker that is Gernot Fritsche.
Does Gernot have the pace today or not? He's been a little hot and cold recently, and he's starting this season off very similar to how he was last season, where it just didn't seem like he was getting up to speed with how the car handles under new tires. I would hope that he was a little bit more adjusted by now. At least the top 5 is looking better than previous weeks, as he was mired out of the top 10 part of the first round. Let's take a look at that opening wreck with Shimon. See what happens into the first corner, because I almost thought he had a problem because he pulled off here, Ozzy, and then he suddenly came back on.
Yeah, so he went off, and let's see what happens here coming into turn number 1. It's the start. You can see on top Andretti taking a good start, taking the lead. But here is Tomasz Szymon. He's braking relatively. Oh, he just thought he was going to collect the Ferrari ahead of him. And that's why he went a little bit wide to avoid it. And then he just came a little bit recklessly, it must be said, back to the track and hit Severi Seppa. And Severi, as a result of that, collecting undue damage, and Tomasz Szymon as well. Little bit of a clip on his front wing. That car is not quite healthy after that one, and his position is not what we used to see.
I think he's off the pace, honestly. I went and looked at his second lap there. It's a 27.6. Compare that to our leaders who just ran a 24. So I just fear that it's going to be damage limitation for Tomasz currently. We're looking at our top 3. Rinna leading Vascalampi and Vani Okongas. It is a Finnish trio up at the top. Still, Frikten Kata trying to hold on. He's about a second behind with Frisha right under his rear wing.
Yeah, Fritz is still looking there. He's got Valkejärvi behind him as well as Marko Kela. Valkejärvi a little bit close now, actually, to the back of Gernot. So if Gernot doesn't get a move on, then Teemu might be looking for chances. But Teemu is the kind of driver who usually doesn't go for those right away. He's really cool-headed driver. Here comes Gernot, though, right to the inside.
He's going to have a clear bit of track, no defense. So he'll easily slip himself into 4th as Frikten Kata lives to fight another day. Oh, but he's got a great run coming out of the Senna S through the curve of his soul. Does he maybe try and fight back? No, it looks like it was a false dawn.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have the straight line speed to quite fight back. You can see it there. So he's faster through the Senna SS as well as through the infield, I think. Frikten Kata should be catching up a little bit on this next right-hander as well. But he doesn't quite have the straight line speed to challenge Gernot. So it looks like we're seeing some of the differences in setups already coming into play this early on, with Gernot opting to run a little less wing, and that's due to his experience. Because Interlagos, you look at the track map and you might think, oh, high downforce. But it's got that long main straight, it's uphill acceleration, so that even more values the low downforce setup. And when you look at the infield, it's really a lot of slow corners. So those slow corners don't require much downforce. So you only got a couple of places where you can really put that wing into good use. And as a result of that, we see Frikten Kata losing a little bit of time, potentially coming under attack from Teemu Valkejärvi next as well.
Honestly, got a train forming behind him because White Lake is approaching. That's Marco back there in the number 6. Carl Villeneuve is in there as well as Millward. So he's got to watch out. One pass could cost him momentum and he'll find himself swamped. Oh boy, this is not looking good as White Lake is very close, but the car starts to slide through the curve of the Soul, loses out a little bit. And as they run down the Retta Pasta, I don't think we'll get anybody making attempts into the Descida del Lago.
No, so as I said, Teemu is a really cool-headed driver, doesn't usually take the risks at all. And really, he's the kind of guy who is happy to sit in a top 5, top 6, top 10 position all race long and just, not make any big moves. He'll make if he gets the chance, but otherwise he's just happy waiting behind you and waiting for you to make that mistake. However, I think Teemu is gonna need to get a move on soon if he wants to stay in the toe of Gernot Fritsch, because Gernot right now, he's still got the freak on a leash, but I don't know for how long.
I was gonna say, actually, you should talk to Teemu about that nickname. I feel like it would be so much more impressive if it was like a little bit over and he tried for White Lake. But White Lake it is for now, as we jump back a little bit further, as we've now got Ove Trangrade along with looks like Andy T trying to make his progress through. He's up to 11th. He's gained a number of positions. He's being followed by Linda Luoto currently, down in P12. They're a little far away from each other, so no attack up here into the Senate S currently. Wide there for the car at the back, with Tapani finding himself out braking in his own car into that first turn, and that costs him a number of tenths.
It did, and he lost a bit of ground as well, braking a bit too late. He's a lot faster as Andy takes a look to the inside, too far there. He's a lot faster than Andy on a straight line. They were about equal length from the car in front at the start of the straight, and Tapani was 7 kilometers an hour faster than Andy. So that goes to tell you a story about the difference in setups with those guys, and that's maybe how Tapani locked up as well, just a little bit too little wing. But yeah, Andy is now right behind Uwe, and well, if Andy's car doesn't have damage, and it doesn't look like it has damage, this should be a slam dunk considering the differences in their qualifying speeds.
I have to give Andy credit for making the progress that he has, not letting the red mist affect his driving. So as he approaches up to Junção, let's see if he gets the run that he needs. Yes, indeed, right underneath that gearbox. This is going to be an easy slam dunk, it looks like.
Yeah, so he's certainly keeping his cool, not letting the kettle boil over, and here Uwe Trengeride is gonna really have to fight him off. But look at the speed from Uwe. He's doing same speed as Andy without the draft. So that's why Andy has such tough time that to the inside he comes, and yeah, that's a clean move, and Uwe, I think, knew to back out of it as soon as Andy came alongside. He didn't want to risk anything, but yeah, Uwe Trengeride really running a low down for setup.
Sure if that's setup, or you mentioned Andy could potentially have a little bit of damage unseen, maybe. So I wonder if that is affecting that. Up at the front, Vascalampi is holding right onto the back of Oscar. And it's remaining about 7 tenths as they've dropped Vani Okongas to about 2.4 seconds now. So Teemu is a real threat here, I think, to our leader.
He is, and Teemu mentioned after the Thursday race, remember the gap between those guys was 8 seconds on a 47 lap race. And Teemu mentioned he was saving tires throughout the race, and Oscar got past him, but I don't think he's saving tires anymore. He's got a bit of practice in after the Thursday race, and he's also had a 20-minute power nap before the race, so, you know, hearing information, and he was sleeping a little bit on the pit wall, and now he's all fresh and ready and taking that Kimi Räikkönen approach to racing. As Marco Kela is really close also to the back of Frick and Kade for 5th place.
Looking out for the tires might be a good idea today. We haven't mentioned it, but it's 105 degrees Fahrenheit out here today. Is a nice attack down into the first corner with Marco sneaking to the inside of Frick and Kata. That'll give him 5th place.
Yeah, it does. So continuing on about those tires, they might be playing into an effect later on. You really want to avoid using too much of the rear tires on the infield section, especially for those guys who are running the lower downforce setups. They will be at trouble later on. They tend to use a little bit more tire than the high downforce, especially given how much more you have to use the tire with low downforce to stay at speed. You don't have that aero helping you out. You don't have that extra grip, so you're really having to use the mechanical grip and what the rear rubbers have to offer. So, you know, you can go all the way down to below 60% tire life, which with these cars you are starting to notice at a later point. But I don't think it's going to be a slide fest per se.
Let's take a look at Alex Millward, as remember, he's also trying to make a climb. He's caught up to the back of Carl Villeneuve, and he might actually have a good shot here up past Subidos dos Boxes, because he's right close to that rear wing as we ride on board, looking over his shoulder. We've seen a few drivers struggling to find the top end speed. Is Millward going to be one of them? It doesn't close as quickly as you would think. He's going to look up the inside anyways, tries to outbrake him down into the corner, keeps it down to the apex, but it stays side by side as Millward tries to fight back. It's too tight through that second apex, and Millward is able to succeed.
Nice move from Millward. Really had to fight it out. Carl Villeneuve not giving anything away for free, and why would he? He was in an 8th place, he's still 9th, and he's certainly wanting to hold on to the back of Alex now and see if Alex can tow him to that train ahead. Because look at what's happening ahead of him. Marco Kela has gotten past Frick and Kade. Now Frick has Teemu, a couple of seconds behind him. Valkejärvi, that is, not Vascalampi, of course. 2 Teemus in this series now, don't forget. And Valkejärvi is starting to maybe lose a little bit of ground to Frick and Kade. And, you know, Milward's not far from those guys. He's not far, Villeneuve's not far, and Andy T is only a couple of seconds away as well. So this battle for places 5, 6, 7, and so on, it might get quite trickery later on in this race, depending on how fast Markela is. 5th or 6th, either way, it's going to be a great battle, trust me.
If T and Millward come together on their climb forward, it'll be almost something of a perfect storm there. Up the front stretch once again, Millward might be a little bit vulnerable. Get a taste of his own medicine because Villeneuve is catching him. Villeneuve's got a lot of speed. He looks down to the inside. You can see him in the background there. He's not defending his Millward, but he's going to try the outside. That didn't work for Carl. Can it work for Millward? And it does. Covers him off to the inside through the Curva de Sol. Still, he's going to have a good run down the Retta Aposta. Once again, not covering off the inside. Villeneuve manages to get all the way up side by side and then falls back under braking as Millward is strong on the binders today.
He is, and you saw that little wiggle on Millward's car on the straight. That was him saying to Carl Villeneuve, oh, come on, don't fight me. We need to catch those guys up ahead. But Villeneuve, he's got a little bit less wing, and he's certainly fighting this position with Alex Millward. And I think that's got to be frustrating Alex Millward a little bit. He hasn't had the best of weeks here overall. He's got the pace, but he doesn't quite have the consistency down at Interlagos. And, you know, when he has to fight a guy he should be faster than. He wasn't faster in qualifying, but he's considering, oh, and that's a big wiggle from Millward. That's a nice save. But that's one of those places too, where tire life is going to be an issue later on, because your tires are going to be hot after that infield sector. And once again, Millward will come under threat by Carl Villeneuve, and they're losing ground all the time to the battle ahead.
And losing ground to Andy T. I don't know if we could see it in the mirrors as we rode on board, but he is now directly behind them. This time Millward defends, sends it in deep down into the first corner, and is fully ahead by the time they hit the second apex this time. Here comes T, though. All this side-by-side battling is slowing them up a lot, and he just got on the radio. I didn't quite catch what he said. Villeneuve gonna have to go the long way around. Millward's going to get sick of this. He has really got to pull a gap if he wants to get rid of this fight. Once again, is able to rebuff him. But here's T. He is now within a car length of Carl Villeneuve.
He is, and I think knowing Andy T, he's a bit of a cheeky guy like that. He's a nice guy, but also a cheeky guy. I think his message in the radio was, hi, guys.
I like it. So how immediate does he go on the attack? And what kind of speed does he have? I believe he had trouble last we saw when he was trying to overtake Ove. As they come through the duck's bill. Get a little bit of cloud cover here, as we do have a partly cloudy day here in Interlagos, so that'll cool it down somewhat. You can see it's gone down to 39 degrees Celsius. That's 102 Fahrenheit for those here in the States. And not as good of an exit as Villeneuve would have wanted, as he's finally fallen off of Millward. T, though, is not closing.
No, it's not, and he can't catch up on a straight line here, so he's got a little bit of a higher downforce setup, and that's really hurting him. Oh, and Millward making a mistake into Senna SS again, and Villeneuve had to lift off actually in the middle on the exit, and that means Alex Millward is really gonna come under threat from Carl Villeneuve. Andy T backing off a little bit, letting the boys fight, and here comes Villeneuve to the inside. Can he hold him off this time? Can he pull it through? Almost touching side by side, and Villeneuve goes through on Millward, and that's Millward against T further behind. So we got the battle between the two Brits right away for 9th place, Joe. This is incredible action.
And almost got into the back of Villeneuve through the Curva de Sol. He really had to back out of that one. Villeneuve back up into 8th. This is costing them all kinds of time. Up to White Lake in front of them. T tried to be cheeky like you were talking about and get to the inside of Millward, but it didn't work out. Meanwhile, we've got a wreck between Roosevelt and Mycroft as they go side by side through the Ducksbill. Can T actually make this work? No, not quite.
Hang on to it, because T is gonna go look to the outside. They touch a little bit coming into the junction, and Andy T is gonna have a great run onto the main straight, but does he have the straight line speed? Not quite. That was a late send from Andy T up to the inside. Wow. I was screaming. I was sure they're gonna crash. I was sure, but Alex Millward did well to see him coming.
Need to go to that wreck between Bycroft and Roveld as they are well down the order still. This is very reminiscent of what we saw in the Camel GT series yesterday, Ozzy. It got very rough in some of the fights, and cars were squeezed off course like we just saw there.
Yeah, so that's one of those things that people really are gonna have to watch out for, because you can get into the heat of the battle. You can have that red mist descend upon you, as we have said so many times, or in Andy's case, you can have that kettle boil over. And sometimes that's a good thing for our, for our entertainment, for the value of the race, and for the drivers as well to get to battle. You can loosen the shackles a little bit, but at the same time, sometimes you can just, end up getting a little bit too into it, and something that we saw last season at Suzuka between Oscar Rinne and the other driver whose name escapes me, the Italian driver who was a quest driver in this series, can happen where they battle for so long, they get closer and closer, and eventually Icarus flies too close to the sun.
Meanwhile, on screen, we're watching Frisha and Marco. Marco's been doing quite good today. Where did he qualify again? 12th. Yeah, so he's come up a number of positions, and we've seen him make quite a few overtakes as they break down into the Senna S. He's not close enough to attack now. They're not too far behind Vanio Conga, so I guess the question is, do they want to work together to see if they can gain on him, or do they actually try and fight?
I don't know. Eetu's 124.9 last time around, Gernot 124.9, Marco 124.9 as well. They're pulling similar lap times, but yeah, they for sure would want to catch up to Eetu. I mean, that's a podium. Who cares about the 4th place? You want to fight for the podium, but Marco at the same time, he might be thinking, that's Gernot Fritsch ahead of me, 18 championships in this series. Why not have a go? Why not? It's a finish 1, 2, 3, might as well make it 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Cameras here, but an update. I checked in on Shimon, our championship leader. He is still down in 25th, has not overtaken anybody, and continues to run 127 laps. That car is absolutely limping around the track.
That's a hard break.
It really is. You got to feel for the guy as we now come uphill one more time. What's Marco got? It looks pretty similar to last lap, so I don't think we're going to see anything new here. Meanwhile, as we jump backwards, Millward with a run on Villeneuve. He's had trouble with top-end speed. He ducks out of the slipstream, down to the inside. This is where he's good, under the braking. He sends it in deep, neck-bang wheels, and Villeneuve has to catch the car as both of them get by. Andy T takes advantage.
That was really naughty by Millward. That was a late break. He missed the apex there, and he ran right into Villeneuve. Nothing Villeneuve done wrong there. He left him enough room, but Andy really breaking late. Let's see. You can see it again here. That's Alex, braking a little bit too late, running wide into car Villeneuve, pushing Villeneuve aside, getting a little bit rough. I think he was frustrated after the battle, but still, that's a driver error. And that's a position that was, that was finally gained, and he's got Andy behind him, but not in the nicest way. And something I want to mention as well, as these guys keep battling, as we got Alex and Andy very close, we got an angry car Villeneuve, and no wonder, behind them. And then we got Tapani Linnaluoto as well. Look who's made his way right into this battle. It's the old man, Mr. Longhair, Mr. Catcat.
That is Uwe Trangrade at the back of the train as well. They've been fighting so much, they've invited more to the party. T not looking good coming off of the junction. Villeneuve might have a good shot here. As that's happening, though, this is the break that Millward has needed. He has finally got himself up to 0.7 of a second ahead of these two. Once again, Villeneuve very good on top end, but he's having to look around the outside once more. Last time that sent him with a little bit of car contact. This time it was clean, but it also didn't give him the spot.
No, it did not. So those guys keep battling, we also got a good fight ahead of them for 4th place. That's Gernot Fritsch and Marco Kela. Marco Kela has caught up to Gernot right away. He's only a 10th of a second away. You don't really need a clock to watch that battle, do you? And those guys, they've been threatening to start their battle for a couple of laps now, and it seems like Marcos got a little bit more pace in his arsenal. But you also have to remember that the straight is long here. You can make a lot of ground up just in that section if you are within those 0.6 of a second.
And the Frisha was a tenth quicker as well than Vanio Congas ahead of them. So they made a tiny little bit of ground, and there's still roughly half this race left to go. So maybe there is impetus for them to just work together. If he can continue to push and try to reel in that podium position as we ride on board with Kela. He is within striking distance, potentially, if he wants to. Let's see if he sends it in hard. No, this doesn't look good enough, even though he pokes his nose out.
No, he doesn't have the speed on a straight line. So that's an issue one runs into very often, where you just don't have the straight line speed show. And when you don't have the straight line speed.
Turn one. He lost a ton of ground there just trying to keep the car from sliding out from under him. So the number 6 falls away from what he had. Let's see if he can regain it.
Yeah, let's see that. So, you know, he's gonna have to try harder in those fast corners to get closer and closer to Gernot, potentially work his way to an overtake into one of those tight corners. We saw what Andy did earlier at Duckbill. You can easily send it up to the inside. You can brake very late into those tight corners, much later than you think, and much later than would be optimal. And that way you can just send it up to the inside, clear somebody, and not make the prettiest of moves, but the most daring of moves. And meanwhile, further back, I'm still looking at this battle, and we're looking at the battle as well. Alex Milward, Andy T, Carl Villeneuve, Tapani Linnanluoto, and Uwe Trengride, slowly but surely trying to catch them up. So it's been a little bit stagnant in this one, Joe, for the last couple of laps, but still it's got a lot of promise, to put it that way.
I suspect that Andy T might be a little bit quicker than Milward, too, the way that now that he's overtaken Villeneuve. He made short work of getting on the gearbox of this black machine. He's closing in. This is looking very good for Andy. He's got the inside open if he wants it, but covering the middle of the road, and Milward's going to make him choose the outside. T tries to send it in deep. Doesn't quite work out. Slots back into line.
Yeah, so that was a little bit of a test by Andy T, I think. He looked to the inside, Alex blocked off the middle lane, then he looked to the outside, tried to brake too late. But the thing why he chose the outside line is very interesting. Usually, you would take to the outside if you want to test out the braking zone. Okay, how late can I brake into this corner? Because when you are braking on the outside and going side by side into a corner, even if you miss your braking spot, you can't run wide and into somebody. You can run wide, but you're not taking anybody out. So you can take that chance, and you can brake later on the outside. And even if you miss it, it's no problem. You just lose a little bit of time. Whereas if you miss your braking spot on the inside, well, ask Alex Milward and Carl Villeneuve.
So T right now just steeping the bag, just trying to make it the strength that he wants, and then he'll try and go for it. As they come out of junction one more time. Very wide, though, for Alex Milward. I've seen that a couple times now. It seems to be something of an Achilles heel, as T has got a much better run. This could be a little bit of an easier ask. Once again, though, he's going to have to go the long way around. Tries to squeeze Milward down a little bit, as Alex is going to have to send it in deep himself into the first corner. They almost come together. Andy just gives him a car's width.
Yeah, wow, that's some great battling. Meanwhile, outside of your pictures, just gonna give a quick report that Frick Kade has lost another position. But yeah, let's stay with this one. Because those guys are still battling, and he is looking for the chances. Uwe Trengride is getting ever closer and closer. He's inching his way closer, like a boy on a first date at the movie theater, trying to hold hands maybe, trying to ask. Well, he's inching closer and trying to get himself involved in that battle. But it's really a four-way right now between these guys. And you can see Andy. He doesn't have the straight line speed to necessarily get past without Alex making a mistake on a straight line. So he looks to these tight corners. That's where he's better. He's better on the braking. Once again into the Duckbill, and that's a late move. That's careless.
Very Hamilton-esque, unfortunately, from Andy T, as he just nerfed him off. Oh, I think his car is damaged. You saw it just slipping around as we now look at the replay. This is very reminiscent of what we saw at the end of last season between Hamilton and Albon. And unfortunately for Millward, he played the role of Albon today.
Yeah, he did. So he got punted around for his trouble side by side between Carl Villeneuve and Andretti. Now Villeneuve might have that 8th place back after all. Tapani Linneluoto as well coming close, but not making it 3 wide.
Oh, and that's they're going to make contact again. T goes completely around. He's the only one that loses out as Trangarade, Linneluoto, and Villeneuve get safely by. But boy, they're dropping like flies now. Villeneuve, who could be damaged himself, is under attack from Linneluoto, who's watching this whole thing and saying, "Thank you, everybody. I'm just picking up spots left and right."
Yeah, Tapani was really, he cashed in, he was watching, and he used all that experience. He was like, let the young boys battle, they're feisty. I'm gonna pick those positions anyway. That's what veteran experience will do for you against these young guys. That's what a veteran does. Tapani Linneluoto, a 3-time champion in this series in the past, has come back, hasn't been quite on form in terms of pace, but he still got the brains.
The 8th for him. Just an update, Pablo Suarez with a self-spin, I believe, into turn 8. He's going to get it going once again, but loses positions because of that. T returns in 11th, so he's recovered. What happened to Millward after his spin, though? I'm trying to find him. Oh, wow. Millward's down 24th.
Yeah,
he's looking very slow.
Yeah, so he's had other troubles as well, and you know, he was actually slow after last lap. He had after that contact with Andy T, his suspension was all screwed up. That car is a banana right now, essentially, or your car's a toast, as the helpful spotter on iRacing will say. And Alex is just now trying to make it back to the pit lane, and he will not have any good points from this event. So that's a shame from Alex Millward, especially as it wasn't his mistake. But you know, what happened to him? He got caught up in that battle. He couldn't make it to the back ahead. He could be fighting for P5, P4 right now. Instead, he's all the way down to 20 plus.
You talked about getting too caught up in the fight, and an American phrase comes to mind: discretion is the better part of valor. And I think some of those drivers forgot that today, as we saw the battle continue on past them, as already putting a lap on Millward. Linneluoto, now that he's gotten past Villeneuve, the job is not done. Carl's still right underneath him.
He is, and Carl Villeneuve doesn't want to give up today. He's been running very strong inside the top 10. He had a good starting position last week as well at Road America, and he's starting to become a solid top 10 contender as well. So he's holding on to Tapani very well. He's had a couple of contacts, and interestingly enough, you know, neither of them I would classify as fully his fault. But he's been willing to fight these top guys, and I think soon enough these top guys are gonna have to accept, or these midfield guys, at least top end of the midfield guys, are gonna start to have to accept Carl Villeneuve as one of their own, looking at the way he's going, but not quite having the speed to match Tapani Linneluoto on a straight line there with Uwe now looking behind them and wondering if he can hold on to that still. Meanwhile, I'm looking at a couple of things. Firstly, interesting thing, P number 6, Teemu Valkeajärvi and Frikten Kade, those guys are still close to each other. Teemu got past a couple of laps ago, but Frikten Kade, he hasn't given up, and he's been still holding on to the back of Teemu, and notably with much more consistency than we used to be seeing from Frick.
Just gonna say, he's quite determined today. You have to give him credit for sticking with it, even when he's been overtaken. He tends to be right on the gearbox of the car ahead, at least for a few laps, making sure they don't get away. So let's see what he does out of the junction. That tends to be one of the places where you can use that slipstream to hold on. Nice and tidy from both of them. Maybe a little bit off the apex from the number 14, but he'll get something of a toe.
He'll get a toe, and you noted that Teemu was a little bit loose. Not sure how well you saw it on the cameras there, but Teemu was a little bit loose coming into the junction, so on that left-hander downhill, and that's a very difficult corner. I don't know how well you can see it here watching these drivers, but once we come around to it, you can see it better. You can't really take it full throttle. You have to lift off just a little bit coming into that corner. So, you know, you have to really like balance your act. It's a real balancing act. It's somewhere which is very difficult to, you know, try and get that power down, try and get that grip down, so you can make or break a lot of time there, even if it's not such an important corner, because it's leading right into a 90-degree left-hander. Everybody wants to get a good exit off junction naturally for that main straight, but it's still a very difficult corner to show.
We've been covering all the excitement. It's just not as exciting looking at a driver steadily falling back. So Oscar has pulled away to about 4 seconds over Vascaloppi. Remember, we covered it at 7/10 earlier on in the race. Teemu just doesn't seem to have exactly what Oscar's got underneath him today. With, let's see, we're about 13 laps to go. Going to be 10 or 12 laps to go here very soon as they cross the line. So as long as Oscar can keep this pace and doesn't get into trouble with lap traffic, I think he's got this one very much under control.
Yeah, he's got it in wraps unless he makes a mistake, which we of course don't hope. Oscar really coming into his own this year, this season. He had a good position, good race last week at Road America, even with minimal practice. And this time, once he's got the practice in, he's done well. And further behind them, Teemu Valkeajärvi and Frick and Kaaret, those guys, P6 and 7, they continue to have a battle. And that's a great exit from Frick and Kaaret, heading on towards the Sun corner.
Looking to the inside, he's going to be given the apex. White Lake is very polite coming through the Descida del Lago, but he's going to have the inside once they hit the Ferradura. What's it going to be, or is he going to try and continue it? Can he even try and continue it? Yes, he can. He sends it in very deep. Freakton Kata is on a mission here, and he might have it. He had a nose ahead coming up to turn 8. If he keeps with it, it switches back and forth through the next hairpin of the infield section. Still, he doesn't give up. Down to the duck's bill. He sends it in deep once more, and finally he has to give up the ghost.
He does, but Teemu went a little bit wide on the exit of that one. As a result of that, Freak got close. That was a very nice try. I think Teemu was wondering if Freak's gonna miss his entry, his breaking point into Descida del Lagos, and as a result of that, slide wide into him. That's why he gave him the room. And then he continued to have to give him room on the inside all the way throughout the infield section. Great battling between these two, as now it seems to have settled down a little bit momentarily. But let's see how well Teemu can do on the Senna SS. Can Freak have maybe another go this time around? Maybe with a little bit less space given between the two.
Making him sweat. It's looking good once again. Tenkata making this a freak show right now. And let's see if he's going to try the same move again. He pulls him in. Teemu doesn't cover off the inside. It worked last time, but it was very difficult. Oh, he doesn't have a go as he wasn't quite side by side.
Not quite close enough for Teemu there. So that's one of those things that he's gonna have to, he's gonna have to think again, Freak. He's still got 10 laps to go in this one, so he has time and he has space, and they got a lot of space between them. Between themselves and Tapani behind them as well, so they can afford to fight. Still about 5 seconds of caution, and in front of them, Gernot and Marco, about 6 seconds away as well. So, not having anyone around them, and that gives them the freedom to have a fight. Gives them, not an incentive to try and draft each other, nor an incentive to try and get away from somebody. Instead, they just try to do their best and best each other in this great battle for 6th place. However, now it looks like Teemu has been able to find his pace a little bit once again. Freak may be trying a bit too hard, overheating his tires, and as a result of that, dropping about half a second back from Valkeajärvi.
We've got a good fight down for 14th. Suarez and Rasimas have been really going at it hammer and tongs. Now, I'm trying to check to see if Pablo's actually taken this spot recently, but Rasimas almost got squeezed off the track into Ferradura at one point. Well, hold on. Before we go to a replay, we were thinking about showing that incident. Looks like Mike's got a shot coming up into the Senna S. He's fully alongside. Could he get squeezed out? He's going to maybe keep his nose in. He's given space. Suarez successfully defends, but it's not over. Out of the Curva del Sol as they pick up speed. Rasimas has to go the long way around. Once again, a defense from Pablo down to the inside. Doesn't have the straight line speed. Rasimas actually ahead of him by the time they get to the corner. And if he can power off, he can get this one done. No. Oh, and they bang wheels. They're going to hold on to it. They come up to the right-hander, double apex horseshoe as they swing through the corner. And both of them losing control of the car as they wiggle and squirm under power. Rasimas falls back, is sending it up the inside. Somehow Suarez reclaims P14.
What's going on here? Both of them absolutely out of control. Rasimas trying to make it through around the outside, but they touched tires. And then Pablo Suarez touched grass on the entry and still into Ferradura managed to overtake Mike Rasimas around the outside. That was incredible stuff. And Rasimas very sideways and losing a bit of ground. And that's allowed Steve Bycroft to get himself right back into the mix. So the American driver with number 3 on his car, a race winner from last season at Summit Point, is now having a ripe apple for the taking, and that apple is from New York, and it's called Mike Rasimas.
Yeah, this is going to be a grumpy Steve Bycroft as well. He's not only been in incidents today, he's just been well out of what you typically would see from the number 3. Is this enough of a run? Oh, this is definitely making Mike feel threatened because he started to cover it off, but then he comes back to the racing line and he continues on in that 15th position. But if Bycroft is not feeling in the best of moods today, not sure if I would defend too hard if I was Mike.
Yeah, but Bycroft, he's a really clean driver, he's a really fair driver, he's a veteran of this series as well, and somebody who has the capability to, just bide his time, because he will know too that they don't really have anyone close enough on them in front. So this is the battle he's going to be stuck with until the end of this race. And as a result of that, he's not in a hurry to pass them. He wants Rasimas ideally. What Bycroft wants is Rasimas to catch up to Suarez once again and see if he can pick up the pieces once those guys lit the fireworks once again. But we're looking momentarily at the position number 3, and the reason why we should be looking at it is because Eetu Vainio-Kangas, he's been caught up, and by none other than Der Lottekamp Flieger himself.
This has been consistently in favor of Friscia. He's chipping away and chipping away, just like I was talking about before, the smallest of pace margins. Now, my question is, though, at what point does he get within the slipstream and those small margins are going to become bigger chunks?
0.6 of a second, so he is within the slipstream right now, as a matter of fact. And now we saw Vainio-Kangas and Gernot have a little bit of a tussle last week, didn't we, at Road America? It started about 6 laps to go, and remember how that one ended up? That was a great battle, and it ended with Gernot winning that one. And once again, we are in a similar position. 4th position, Eetu and Gernot. This time it's for a podium, and let's see if Eetu has learned his lessons. Let's see if he's done his homework and can defend against the pressure that Gernot is putting on.
We gained a lot more that time. It's down to 0.4 of a second as they swing down the hill. They come off of Curva del Sol. 7 laps to go. Just letting the car drift all the way out to the curb. As we rode on board with Friscia for a moment, the number 1 still on his car. For those curious, it is over a 3,800 strength of field today on the iRating. It is stacked.
It's absolutely stacked. Like those guys up in the front, those with the lower numbers, those guys have been here for ages. And just gonna give you a clue of what, for example, 6,000 iRating means, that you're roughly within the top 1% of iRating in the whole service. Top 1%. Think about how few people even make it that far, and then think about Gernot Friscia, and he's 8,000 iRating. He used to be in top 5 service-wide in terms of iRating. Now, I know iRating doesn't equal pace necessarily, but it equals how consistent you are and how well you have finished. That's an ELO rating system, the same system that's used in chess, for example. So, it's a raw system. It doesn't look anything else but your finishing results.
Here he goes. He's got a very good run. No defense, though, from Vainio-Kangas. He's going to hold the outside. He knows he's well enough ahead on that first apex, and Friscia takes it easy, just shows his nose, and that's his first attempt. This is looking almost exactly like what we saw last time.
Oh, but Gernot's going to look to the inside once again. He's going to take it on a fast track here. And Eetu once again missing the apex a little bit, but Gernot not quite committing to that one. He showed his nose, however, and he's continuing to show nose. He knows what worked last time around. And Gernot this time around, he's gonna put that same knowledge into use. So, let's see. The headmaster is asking, Eetu, have you been a good student and done your homework? Yes or no?
Well, so far so good. He's held him off successfully up to this point. For those who are curious, our lowest I rating here today is a 2,500, which is typically about more of an average what you see in most races. Off of the junction, Gernot Frische is not looking quite as close. Let's see if that straight line speed's going to help him as they start to pick it up. 155 miles an hour. Oh, yes, it is. He is really gaining here. Is it going to be a repeat? Ronnie Congus, yes, he will hold the outside, but this time he's farther up alongside him, and Frische is going to deny him the apex. It's going to switch back in favor. Can he get the run off the corner? It's decent. Maybe he'll try something into the Interlagos.
He's gonna look to the inside and he's gonna commit to it if he has enough room. Terry, he is looking to the inside and he's alongside, he's committing to it, and let's see if he can pass, not quite leaving him enough room, but Eetu on the outside as well closed that door with quite the efficiency. Now he was fair, he left Gernot enough room, but he also didn't let Gernot slide wide at all. And that sends a signal to Gernot too. You're not gonna have it so easy this time. And you know, he's not gonna have it because Eetu heard quite a few words about his defense last week or how he got schooled by Gernot, and I think he's committed to defend it this time around.
And that was a big slide from Frische too, down into the Interlagos. He had to catch the car big time. That's some trust from both of them. Worth noting that there is a car behind. That is for position. Marco Polo out there, and he's going to hope to hear fish out of water soon, see if he can maybe try and overtake one of these two and get himself on the podium. It's now becoming a three-car fight as once again Rinne up at the front keeps setting fastest lap after fastest lap.
Yeah, so last time around, well, it's a Silk Road for Oskar Rinne, but not quite for Marco Kela, because he is, you know, he's trying to catch up to the battle, but he hasn't been as fast as he was early on. He's been cooking up those tires quite a bit, and, you know, do whatever you must do to, you know, keep yourself fed on the trail, but Marco Kela still is a little bit further back than I would like to see from this battle, considering they have been going pretty side by side, but he's an outside shot for the podium, definitely, especially if those two come together, but I don't think they will. I don't think they will, honestly. Eetu and Gernot, they can get close, but I don't think they're going to come together because both of them are very fair drivers, very respecting drivers. Gernot, we know he has all the experience. He got his first title in this series 10 years ago almost, February of 2011. He got his first win in this series on the February of 2010, so that's over 10 years ago. That's how long he's been driving this car.
Unbelievable. Tells you the experience some of these drivers do have in this series. Oh, and he was very strong into the corner, but he needs to be strong out of the corner. He got less than a car length away from the gearbox of Ronnie Congus. I don't think he's close enough this time. He'll get up there, but will he attack?
Oh, that's going to be the real question. Does he go to the inside? He looks to it. It's going to be late, and he breaks himself past Eetu, but loses it on the exit, and Eetu's going to come on the side. He's going to have a great exit, and he takes the inside line. He braves it, and Gernot has no choice but to leave him room. So he's going to say, insert point, try again.
I think he has been studying. Look at that. Pulled one over on the teacher and came right back at him into third place. So it's not over yet, and this did help Marco regain some of that ground. That's the sort of stuff he's looking for.
Yeah, that definitely is the sort of stuff we're going to be looking for from Eetu as he gains more confidence from this series, as he gains experience. He's got the pace to gain those podiums, but he's not going to have it easy. He's got about the toughest driver you can face behind him, but in a sense, he's also in a fortunate position, because I've always said, even though he's not quite the fastest driver at this very moment, the best driving school in the world is about half a second or a second behind Gernot Frische. And the best way to learn battling is to be in a battle with Gernot Frische, because that's where you learn how to attack, how to defend with a driver that you can be sure that he doesn't pull any dirty tricks on you. He doesn't pull, he may try to pull the cloak over you, but he does that in a fair way. He might try to fool you, but he does it in a fair way. But he will not slide wide, he will give you room, and he will fight fair. And Gernot, backing off this time around, doesn't want to commit too late. So that's once again learning. He missed his braking spot once, doesn't want to do it again.
I'm going to say, the teacher never stops learning it as well. So Gernot is picking up all those little behaviors, those moves that Etu is also pulling on him, but he's got 2 to go. He's going to have to pull something out soon if he wants to get onto this podium because the chances are slipping away. Rinna is already almost done with this lap. He's coming towards the Ducksville right now, so we'll get the white flag in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, we will, and what a race it has been for Oskar Rinne. Really in scale with what he did on Thursday as well. Teemu Vaskilampi 6.5 seconds back, over 6 seconds back, and he was 8 seconds back on a longer race. So let's take a look at this man briefly. Oskar Rinne, 22 years old, out of Turku, Finland, and he has been driving a stellar race, a stellar performance. The only minus I'm gonna give him, that start. The start wasn't so good, and if Andy T hadn't outbraked himself, then it could have been a tighter battle, but as of right now, Oskar home scot-free.
Those wondering about T, he's currently in 10th position, still trying to work his way. Oh, we can't go to him now, though, because I think Vanio Congas is going to have Frisha trying on him once again down into the first corner, but yet again, a little bit more timid. Is he setting him up for the Descida del Lago? He's right underneath him. He could get the slipstream. Let's see what he does. This might be the last best chance unless he thinks he can use it to slingshot by in the front stretch. He is going to get to the inside, down into left-hander. He takes the apex away, squeezed down as far as he can go. Vanio Congas holds it around the outside. They come up to the horseshoe once again, getting right up next to him, taking as much track as he can, making it as wide as a corner as he can. He's got the inside for one, he's got the inside for another, and now he's got other worries is banging into him. Here comes Marco, taking 4th place away from Frisha.
Oh, divide and conquer. That's a great work from Marco Kela. As we should be watching Oskar Rinne, but that was a great battle, and I'm sure we're gonna hear from that one later on.
He was just off the podium in the first round, but Oscar today is taking out the trash. He's going to have victory here in Interlagos for round 2 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix. Vaskilampi will take 2nd. 3rd is going to go to Vanio Congas, who held off 2 different drivers here today to manage to get himself to spray the champagne. What a battle between these 3.
And further behind them as well, we got Frick and Kade there in a battle. And he is just behind Teemu Valkeajärvi in the end. Rinnaluoto gonna finish 8th. And further behind, Villeneuve and T. T is gonna be, just ahead of Carl Villeneuve on the line. That was a photo finish for 9th place. And the difference was 4/100ths of a second. Whew.
He left out on that one. Suarez, who we saw fighting very well with Rasimus, looks like he's fallen a little too far back. So Mike claiming himself a 14th position. And we might have a close one behind them. Erwin Rotkran's trying to chase down Williams. He's not going to make it there in time. Bycroft as well. Olsen. Let's take a look at the replay. Villeneuve and T down to the line, halfway up the car by the time they cross the finish line.
Yeah, so you can see Andy T still ahead, defended inside, the right thing to do. Villeneuve just doesn't quite have the speed to pass him onto the finish line and gonna be finishing it. That's a happy wiggle from T.
We'll be on a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Stick around because we'll have all the upcoming races on screen as well as the driver interviews very soon. Welcome back to Interlagos. Even though up at the front it wasn't an exciting battle, the rest of the field gave us quite a show. Rina takes the victory here today from the pole, Vascalampi finishing second, and Vanio Congas was P3. How about Marco Kela, who came home in P4 after starting 12th? Frisha was just behind him in P5, getting snuck by Marco at the end. Temo Whitelake finished in P6 with Freakton Kate in 7th. Linda Luoto climbing up to 8th ahead of Andy T, who barely beat out Carl Villeneuve, rounding out the top 10. We have a problem with Ossian's mic there. So Ove Trangrade 11th, Leo Kata in 12th. Konecki finishing P13 and Rasimus P14. Suarez with a 15th position and Williams P16. Rotkrens in 17th and Vycroft 18th. Olsen 19th. Top 20 last on the lead lap is Roveld. Let's talk to our winner today, Rina, and see how he felt about things, especially with that start. Oscar, it looked like it was going to be a bit of a bad day at the start, and then suddenly it swung back in your favor very quickly.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
So the start was not good, like always. I don't know. I have lost my confidence with the starts pretty much, so I'm just content to lose a place or two there. But then I saw Andy going wide, and then Temo was pressuring me pretty hard. But I was able to create a small gap, and then it was just the car felt great, the track felt great, everything felt pretty great. So it was a great win.
Obviously, last week you just missed out on the podium, so this seems like a better sign for the season. Can you carry this on as we continue on? Because you were up there at times last season, but not necessarily for the championship.
Yes, I would think so, because Sebring and Mosport should be good for me, and yeah, I think there's a lot of good tracks for me there. So I think I'm up there for the challenge.
We hope you are too, because certainly like to see more talent trying for the wins here. Anybody you'd like to thank for today's victory?
I would like to thank Teemu for the setup, and we talked about it over it a little bit, and you guys for taking your time for having this great broadcast. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Oscar was our winner here today. And I believe Ozzy's going to talk to Vascalampi.
Yes, I am. So I'm back from my home planet as well. Sorry for the lack of transmission there for a moment. Teemu, second place for you. Couldn't quite match Oscar's pace, but that's a result that surely can satisfy you.
Yeah, I noticed I was able to match his pace when I focused like really, really hard. No breathing, no blinking eyes, like first 10 laps. But after first 10 laps, I felt like I need a nap. I'm an old guy, remember? So I couldn't keep doing it. I breathed a bit and lost him. Then I was just pretty much autopilot rest of the race. But this is pretty much how I expected. How it goes is if I'm behind Oscar is leading. So all like expected. Oscar has amazing pace. That's for sure.
Yeah, he has. So briefly, before we let you go, just a quick question, Teemu. You had a nap already before the race. Did that help?
Yeah, I was quite tired. Been sleeping quite poorly, so that helped.
Yeah. So any...
Yeah, to my new teammate Andy, please stop spinning by all yourself every race, okay?
That's cruel. Also, can tell him maybe to stop taking people. Oh, okay. So that's Teemu gone. He didn't want any free words.
I believe we got one more. Etu Vanio Congas. Talk to our third place finisher real quick here because he had a fantastic battle. Etu, man, what a show you gave us at the end. It seems that the student has become the teacher this week. What a job you did on defense.
Yeah, that was intense. I knew Gernot is fast and is going to pressure me hard, but luckily I got practice on Thursday when on Trellet race where practically I was under pressure for 47 laps. So I knew how to defend here. So yeah.
Awesome stuff. Apologies that we have to be so short. We got to make a quick switch over. Is there anybody that you want to thank for today's podium?
Teemu for setup back and you guys for broadcast and Marco for giving good challenge inside our organization.
We looked forward to seeing you three battle all the more the rest of the season. Congratulations. That was Eetu Vanio-Kongas, third place here today. And we got to close up with a big thank you to the Lotus 79 series for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also thank you to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. And thanks to the team, Ozzy, Sean, and Dougie. You can find out more about our channel at GSRC or globalsimracingchannel.com or our social media outlets. Twitter's at GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram, GSRC_Graham. Make sure and subscribe to our channel because you don't want to miss the next round. That'll be Sebring, October 4th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. But we have other races coming up for other series that are listed on the screen, including in just a few moments' time, the Absolute Beginners League will be going to Interlagos as well. That'll be at 2 p.m. Eastern. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.